what I want. I will do what I must. Do I have these games? It's just some, yeah. Charix versus Chosen, Berserk, and Shogun versus Pasha. Yep, I have all 5. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Both these teams looked really strong in previous rounds. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Killed by propaganda. Do the intro in a sec. Let people gather in from the other stream. What do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. We don't have 10 different factions today. We have 9 different factions. Is I didn't name them that part of the actual name? No, I'm just very conscientious that as a white American, I shouldn't just be calling, those Slavic mushroom pickers. Seems a little racist, but no, they named themselves that. They are the Slavic mushroom pickers is what they called themselves. Which team did you secretly give an advantage to? I don't know. The VM team's pretty strong. I think my favorites for the whole tournament was VM, Odium France, and the Swiss team. But Visegrad's been really, really good, so that's upsetting my... Well, they haven't upset my predictions yet, because I haven't beaten any of my top 3 teams, but, like, they're looking really good, so I'm concerned they're going to beat one of my top 3 teams. All right, enough stalling, enough waiting around. Let's get back into it. Welcome back to the World Cup. We are in our final quarterfinal matchup. And I just did my little rant there, so you already got it. I'm just going to call them their name and stop saying I didn't name them that. We have the Slavic Mushroom Pickers versus Clan VM as the final quarterfinal. Who will win and move on to face Hop Schweiz, which means go Switzerland, in the semifinals. We just saw Visegrad advance the semifinals to fight Odium France 1. So if my predictions at the start of the tournament were right, then Clan VM will win here. And 3 out of my top 3, all 3 of them have made it to semifinals. But we'll see. The Slavic Mushroom Pickers also look pretty strong. Speaking of which, let's take a look at them now. Bam! Here we are. So we have Shogunik, Raced, Charix, Pizu, and Guak versus Pasha, Solmier, Chosen, Azhik, and Berserk. Now, if you haven't watched any of the World Cup, this is a weird time to join the final quarterfinal. We're over halfway through the tournament, but welcome, I guess. At the top, you see 2 factions. Those 2 factions are banned for this entire best of 5. Neither side can use either faction. Each side picked their own ban. I didn't pick them. We have Wood Elves and Slaanesh. Neither of those are going to be featured in this best of 5. We do have Conquest, Domination, and Land Battle games in this best of 5. So depending on what game mode you like, there is a game you will enjoy. We cast all 5 games no matter what. Even if the result is 3-0 already, we will keep casting games because people took the time out of their week to get together, do the picks and bans, and play these games. They deserve to have them cast. Sound good? Sounds great. I have not watched any of these games ahead of time. I do technically know who won because I've organized the semifinals and those players are playing now. And we'll cast those games hopefully this weekend. But I haven't seen the games and I honestly don't remember the score because these were played last week. If you look at the bracket, there's the time that each of these things should be played in. These games happened between March 30th and April 5th. So these were submitted at least 10 days ago. But due to how streaming works, I can stream the semifinals and finals in one weekend, but I couldn't cast all of this in one weekend. The tournament is naturally going to take me longer in the earlier rounds, and then I'll speed up, and then I'll speed up. We cast all of the quarterfinals today, right? So we'll catch up with them. I organized it this way just because of how streaming the games is going to work. But yep, we'll catch them. The semifinals aren't even done, and I'm hoping to catch those this weekend, so we'll be fine. The schedule did get messed up a little bit. As you can see, these should have been done by April 12th, but because of this extra round that existed back here, this top semifinal isn't done yet because they didn't start April 6th. They started like April 10th. So anyway, enough explaining. I'm looking for Shogunik versus Pasha. All right. If you were here during my little sitting in the loading screen thing, you heard there are 9 different factions today. Only one faction is repeated. And it starts off with Skaven Dark Elves. Did you call it? Yeah, no. Oh, wow. A bunch of people in chat getting all mad at me. Because context is dead. What up, David? How you doing? Visegrad not top 3. Not off my like early power rankings of just looking at the names on the teams and being like, yeah, they're OP. All right, for the Skaven of Shogunik, we have a Grey Seer of Ruin with Dread 13th and Howling Warp Gale for his spells. We have some globes, looks like 2 globes. The Avalanche Mortars, Death Globe Mortar, ROR. Then some Night Runners in the front line. Clan Rat Spears, Skaven Slave Spears mixed in with a bunch of Rat Ogres. And we also have the Morse Guitars Hellion, Mutant Rat Ogre ROR. Just making sure you guys are on the game. Yes, you are. On the other side, for the Dark Elves, we have Scourge Runner Chariots, Dark Riders, Cold One Knights, and then Bleak Swords, a couple Dread Spears here and there, a Black Arc Corsair Hambos. And that is about it with a Dark Sorceress who brought Doombolt. I actually really like what the Skaven have into the enemy here. The only thing is they have almost nothing for the Scourge Runner Chariots, but you can see Shogunik's trying to screen them out with Night Runners and make them waste their ammo on Night Runners, which is fine. Scourge Runners will just run out of ammo and eventually have to fight Rat Ogres, but Skaven have the control point, meaning the Dark Elves will have to change the state of the game. Like, at some point, they will need to advance or lose. And the Skaven also have the range advantage, so while they're sitting on the point, they're not even going to be value trading poorly. Like, it's not like, oh, we're just going to get whittled down on the point while we sit here. No, they'll mortar your ass, and if you keep running away, they'll just hold the point. So we will see. You can see the Night Runners just harassing those Scourge Runner Chariots, like saying, hey man, shoot at us, waste your ammo, see what happens. The Scourge Runners, yeah, they fire a couple shots at the Night Runners and it's just not going to hit very well. Avalanche Mortars do get in range. If your micro is on point, you can dodge those shots, but it's a pretty tall task to ask you to do that while your Scourge Runner Chariots are doing stuff. So there goes almost an entire Bleak Sword from one volley, and Skaven have captured the point. Early game's going very well for them. Good resource management from Shogunik. The big thing is just keeping the Scourge Runners away from the Avalanche Mortars and the Grey Seer. Those are the big free value ones you don't want to get away, as the Avalanche Mortars, again, get onto Bleak Swords. And he's switching targets between each volley just to, like, try and keep his opponent on his toes, because if you just sit shooting at the same thing, there's 2 problems. 1, you alert your opponent what you're shooting at and they can dodge easier. And 2, the Avalanche Mortars will always do the most damage on their first volley, but the less models you have to take damage, the less damage the Avalanche Mortars do. So it is better to just keep switching them onto full health targets. Maximize their damage output and whatnot. All right, Scourge Runners continue to kite around. Dark Elves continue to back off and kind of reset as the Avalanche Mortars are going to continue to fire at them. He has presented a Bleak Sword as a sacrifice. I wonder if he's just trying to prepare to dodge with it. Yeah, he is. So he's trying to waste Skaven ammunition, which is fair. At that close of range, that was risky, but he was on top of it. Generally, though, when you're that close, the mortars have less time to travel, which means also you have less time to dodge. Dark Elves are advancing. It looks like this is the real one, though. Again, they start to pull back. I think he's just trying to force the Skaven to, like, make a whoopsie. Like, give an attack order onto something that's moving away, so then you chase it out and the Golden Knights can pounce on you, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So Poison Globes are going to catch the Dread Spears, get some decent damage out. Not a ton. Globes have been nerfed several times. Still a crazy strong unit, don't get me wrong, but now they're much, much better against cavalry than against infantry. They're fine against infantry. They're just not amazing. But cavalry... a lot more damage onto cavalry than infantry. A Blade Wind is out onto the Poison Wind Globes, doing some disruption and some decent damage. Wow, some really decent damage. Took half their HP off so far, and climbing. As the globes try and reform to throw these Dark Riders, they will. Some of them are on the ground, but more of them get shots off. And you see, even a couple little globes do that much damage to the Dark Riders. It's insane. Globes are OP versus Cav. Versus infantry, they're pretty whatever. As the globes turn, they're going to throw at the Coldwood Knights, who are also getting charged by Rat Ogres. And now the Dark Elves are starting to try and make their play. Rat Ogres are blocking up the Scourge Runner Chariots on the backfield, so Shogunek's playing this really well so far. Dark Elves are also playing it fine. Yeah, I'd say fine. I do think the Skaven are playing it a little better, but Dark Elves have been patient with their surround. They haven't been clumping up too much, any of that stuff. But the Skaven just... I feel like they have a really good build for what's going on, and the Dark Elves build I find a little lacking. Like, I don't know what the Black Arc Corsairs are supposed to achieve. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying why I like the Skaven build better. It's like, okay, these are medium-range, slight skirmish elements, but the Skaven don't care. Like, they're just going to shoot you from afar or get into melee with you. They don't want to deal with you. And those are good versus like flyers like Vargeist and Furies and shit. The Skaven don't have any flyers, so they don't care. Dread 13th summon out on top of the Bleak Sword, just going to delete that entire unit. Dread 13th is not the powerhouse spell it used to be, but it is still very good versus light infantry who are in a clump. Cold Knight's getting pushed back, and the Skaven very, very far ahead on the balance of power. I think Shogunek played this fantastically, and the Dark Elves just really didn't have too much they could do. And that was a problem with their build. They just had low agency. I'm not really seeing how they could get it back. The Avalanche Mortars outranged them. The skirmish elements weren't that useful. I guess, like, maybe this is some serious hindsight. Maybe that wouldn't even work, but I guess maybe if they had just full sprinted the Skaven at the start of the game, maybe it would be okay, but I don't know. It looked rough. The Skaven played it fantastically and just leveraged all their advantages very, very well. At this point, it's just the interlude where people go get popcorn before the fat lady sings and the opera is over. As the balance of power shares my feelings about this. This is pretty much over. I think the Skaven could take their hands off the keyboard and still win. Morse Katar's Helion's full HP, the Grazier's full HP, so you're not really at risk of losing your Lord to a random Lord Snipe. You still have a lot of skirmishers and infantry that can easily deal with the Scourge Runners and Dark Riders just through raw attrition. The Avalanche Mortars are running out of ammo. Poison Globes are getting routed off, but you don't need them at this point. Hell, we even have a full health Rat Ogre that chased something so far it's at the edge of the map, and that's not mattering to the state of the game. So, really good start here for the Slavic Mushroom Pickers. And VM, my boys, I predicted them to be one of the top 3. They're starting out 0-1 on me. What the hell? Though I do like Shogunek. And I don't just like Shogunek because he gives me money. He's been a super long time patron of the channel. I don't just like him because he gives me money. It does help. I will admit I do say nicer things about him because he gives me money. But I would still say nice things. I probably would have cast this game a little differently. I've been like, oh wow, the Skaven are slightly ahead, but instead of just been like, the Skaven are so fucking good, holy shit. Oh my god, they're amazing. Dread 13th summon, this is twofold. He's trying to get the summon extra balance of power to cause army losses because he's tired of playing, and he wanted the damage on the Dread Spears, so it's a 2-for-1, but he is just trying to do a balance of power play because he's tired of chasing down all the disparate Dark Elf forces. And it works. Summons aren't a ton of balance power, but they are balance of power. 338 kills in the Avalanche Mortars, and when those are Elven kills, you know that equals value. 2,700 value for that. Globes both did fine, paid for themselves. Night Runners did very well at peeling off the Scourge Runner Chariots and just making them next to useless. I'm guessing the Scourge Runner value is going to be underwhelming. Morse Katar's Hellion didn't have much to do, but he is here in case of Manticores or in case of Malice Darkblade or things, but just because those weren't brought doesn't mean he's bad. It's just he didn't have much to do here. For Pasha, Scourge Runners, better value than I would have thought, but still not great. Bleak Swords, Dread Spears all got massacred by the Skaven weapons team. So did the Black Corsair Hambos. So did the Dark Riders. So yeah, really not much value here except for the Scourge Runners and the Lord. All right. So now we grab these. The first red X is out on to Pasha. The first green check mark is here for Shogunek. GG's. See if they can keep it going with Raced versus Somya. What? Why would you do that? All right, Raced is trolling me. Grace is giga trolling me. That is a Hyro Titan. Now, I know it's against the vampire counts. But come on. It's a freaking Hyro Titan. Also, VM is like the vampire counts clan. Don't you go disrespecting them. Look at this. Look at this teeny little Tomb King's build. So we have the Kepler Guard. We have some skeleton spearmen, including King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. One melee Ushabti, Sepulchral Stalker ROR, the Sphinx Usef, and then Cetra also on his Sphinx with Cursed Blades and Vengeance for his spells. Necrotect with the healing, and then the AoE... Oh, not the AoE aura. I'm sorry, I'm dumb. Van Braces the Sun. Anything he touches gets blinded. Okay, that's pretty good. And then a Hyro Titan. A Hyro Titan. Spell Mastery, Winds of Magic, Power Recharge, and then some bound spells. Alright, that's messed up. On the side of the vampire counts, we have Crypt Horrors, Vargeists, Skeleton Spears, and Zombies, including the Tithe. We do have the Sternsman, Graveguard ROR with their regeneration. We have a Vargulf, a Necromancer on his Corpse Cart with a Zombie Summon. Ooh, he has the real Zombie Summon, Raise Dead. And the Unholy Lodestone. Oh yeah, because he has Strigoi Lord, and the Strigoi Lord can bring a different summon. The Crypt Ghoul / Crypt Horror summon. Invocation Hack and Spirit Leech for him as well as his Claws of Morkane and Ghoul King of Ushoran, so he has his self-healing. And we do have a White King with Scab Scrath that I imagine will be going down the Kepler Guard. 70 armor, 70 armor, but... I mean, Scab Scrath still does decent damage to them, and you just want to whittle them down since they're going to regenerate a lot of the game, but I wouldn't be shocked if he also put it on King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion just because of their lesser armor and no regen. You could take out an entire unit faster, but I'd imagine you want to start putting the squeeze in the Kepler Guard nice and early, especially since you don't have a Dragon Lord, you have a Terrorgeist Lord, so his breath attacks are complete ass against infantry. So you can't rely on like a nice Manfred breath attack down the side to take out the Kepler Guard. You do need to actually kill them either in melee or with Scab Scrath. But who knows? I mean, maybe he's just not scared of the Tomb King's infantry at all, and he's not even thinking about it. Maybe he's just going to hold all of his Scab Scraths and not bother. That'd be stupid, but sure, maybe. Zombies go in first, followed by the Skeletons, followed by the Graveguard. Necromancer, I'm not sure if he's going to move in or not. The Terror guys tried to get a little bit of damage out, but decided against landing in front of these problems. The melee has begun. The White King is in there, and maybe he's just trying to group up the Kepler Guard for a more clean Scab Scrath rather than a naked one in the start. I expect to see it in the next, like, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. White King is knocked over, ruining my prediction. That's the only reason. It's definitely not because he wasn't going to do it in that amount of time. First zombie summon is out onto the Sepulchral Stalkers. Try and delay them a little bit as Strigoi Vampire Lord dives in. He's also going to summon Crypt Horrors. Wow, so both summons coming out very early to try and harass the Eyes of the Desert and force them back. Vargeist jumping in as well. They're getting hit with a Usurian's Incantation of Vengeance, but with all of this armor-piercing pressure onto the Eyes of the Desert, I don't expect to see them live through that Crypt Horror summon. Strigoi Lord is having a hard time getting much damage out, and he is looking to back away as the Camarine War Sphinx and the Necro Sphinx both eye him hungrily. And the Hyro Titan's just over here, and he's vibing. I still think this unit sucks, but he's here, technically. Cetra is overextended a little bit. He's away from the Sphinx, and he's away from his supports. Now he's fighting on top of Vampire Count support. If you look around his feet, it's a lot of red. There's a couple Kepler Guard near him, but there's a lot of red, and he's 1v1ing the Strigoi, which is the Strigoi wants. Spirit Leech down as Cetra recharges back into his own lines. Now, the Vampire Counts have taken a lot of damage. Some of these are summons, to be fair, but those Vargeists are not. They've taken a lot of real damage. The Tithe have also taken real damage, Skeleton Warriors, so a lot of their chaff is taking damage, which, you know, is what chaff is for. And this is really what the Vampire Counts have wanted. We saw the White King and the Strigoi were 2v1ing Cetra, and now the Vargulf and the Strigoi are 2v1ing the Sphinx. They just want to take these 2v1 fights, and whenever it becomes fair or even, they back off. Have there been any streakers still, Neil? There's been a couple. There's been a couple of naked boys running across the battlefield. Mostly ogres. But yeah. Restore comes down for the Sphinx, which is nice, but again, 2v1. The Tomb Kings are having a much harder time than the Vampire Counts are about grouping up their single entities and taking advantage fights because they're so big and clunky. Like, the Sphinxes have a hard time standing next to each other, getting where they want to go. While the Strigar Lord on his Terrorgeist is rather slippery, the Vargulf is really small too as far as giant single entities go, and the White King, of course, is on foot. Sporkle Stalkers did manage to live through the Vargeist and Crypt Horror Summon, which is actually a really big win for the Tomb Kings and a huge problem for the Vampire Counts. Because Sporkle Stalkers do not have any of the problems we just listed. They can fire freely into whatever they want to. And this, yeah, the Tomb Kings are rallying really hard right now. Crypt Horrors are trying to push through the Spearmen and trying to shut down the Sporkle Stalkers, so that is pretty good. But meanwhile, the Necromancer gets taken out by the double cats, and the cats are hanging out together, which you can see means the Vargulf and the Strigar Vampire Lord fuck off. They want nothing to do with the cats when they're working together. So as long as these two stay together, the Vampire Counts are going to wait and bide their time. But while they're waiting and biding their time, they're going to be losing more infantry. So it is really risky. Now, good things for the Vampire Counts. Not to say everything is bad for them. The Tomb Kings had a series of good plays there. Things are looking good. Sporkle Stalkers are clear. They've grouped up their Sphinxes, so those are fine. The Hyrule Titan's still going. That's all good for the Tomb Kings. What's going bad for the Tomb Kings is their infantry are losing. I mean, the Vampire Counts will soon have all the support, and you won't. And they don't have a ton of infantry clearing in the Tomb King's single entities. They need to cycle charge to clear all that infantry, which this is Conquest, actually. The Tomb Kings have had the point for now, but the Vampire Counts will take it. And then without any infantry of your own, you're going to have a very hard time ever taking that back. And you won't have infinite time to cycle charge and clear all that infantry. So the infantry support for the Vampire Counts will matter eventually. White King is getting very low on HP. He has used one of his Scab Screts, so he needs to hurry up and use the other two, otherwise he's not going to use them, make me look like an asshole. But yeah, now that the cats are working together, you see any of the Vampire Counts monsters that try and interact with them are just getting absolutely shit-canned. As the Hyrule Titan tries to stay tight. King Catch the Scorpion Legion still pretty healthy. Kepler Guard not as healthy, but are regenerating themselves up slowly. Eyes of the Desert are officially shut down. Nice job for the Vampire Counts there, but the Vampire Counts are running out of gusto. We have some zombies crumbling, some skeletons crumbling, but the Vargeists are about to fade away. Two Crypt Horrors, neither of which are a summon, so those guys are doing okay. And the Strigar Lord, his healing cap is already in sight. Something is getting shot up there. It's a Shem's Burning Gaze. Wanted to poke him down, but he's too close, so a lot of them just missed. Kittens who play together stay together. Hell yeah, still Neil. Vargei's doing the uppy down dance. This is the Vampires' like real gambit to try and end this game in their turns. They saw Cetra briefly away from the Sphinx Usef, and they try to dive down onto him and get some decent damage out. Really didn't go their way, and the Sphinx is getting monkey punched by the Vargulf. Do we have another Necrotect heal? No, we don't, so the Sphinx is all out of extra healing. Strigar Lord's still trying to cycle charge Cetra down because things are getting a little desperate here. King Catch the Scorpion Legion and the Kepler Guard are still blending through a good amount of zombies and random crap infantry. Where are the Sternsmen? Did they die? How did they die? Huh, Sternsmen are dead. Okay. Well, that's a problem. Because now that means you just have zombies and skeletons, which the Kepler Guard and, honestly, Scorpion Legion can also deal with. Another nice breath attack from the Terrorgeist Lord, and he dives in onto Cetra while healing himself up with the Ghoul King of Bushoran. He is now going to heal cap, so he gets the health he gets, but there's a Spirit Leech, really big snipe attempts, and the Sphinx is about to die. It gets one last shot out onto the Strigar Lord. It is rallying for now, though I think that thing's going to crumble some more, and without that big anti-large presence, this is actually getting really scary for the Tomb Kings. Yeah, another monkey punch takes him down. He starts to crumble. Big charge in from the Vargulf, getting lots of hits down the thing. The Necrosphinx gets a little distracted, runs off, and it is going to crumble down and die. Cetra's holding for now and doing some decent damage back. And sure, the Strigar Lord is heal capped, but Cetra's going to die, and without that, the Tomb Kings are going to fall behind in the balance of power. And the balance of power is heavily in this Hyrule Titan, which is useless garbage. The Hyrule Titan is the worst thing I've ever seen on this entire planet. As Cetra dies off, there he goes. Crumbling comes in for the King Catch Scorpion Legion and the Kepler Guard without the leadership of Cetra. It was a pretty close game, I'll give him that. But Hyrule Titan's ass. Thing sucks. No Spirit Leeches left. One Shem's Burning Gaze left. and it is getting cycle charged. Now we have Crypt Horrors fading away, Skeletons fading away, so maybe, possibly, everything crumbles away, leaving the Hyro Titan and Necrotech to kill the wounded Strigoi Lord. It's not over for the Tomb Kings yet, but I just, like, my lack of faith in the Hyro Titan is disturbing. Though, in comes the late game Ushabti summon! Is it big brain 5D chess to save your Ushabti summon this long, or maybe should you have fucking summoned that while Cetra was still alive? Though, honestly, I wonder if they even had enough models die, because their build was so small, they might not have had the Ushabti summon until now. Now that King Kesha Scorpion Legion are dying and losing models. Would have been closer if Cetra had brought the rest of his army. True. As the Ushabti push through, the Strigoi Lord and the Vargulf are going to run away. They're too fast and they can fly. This Ushabti summon just needs to focus on grinding out all of the support. Literally, the only way that the Tomb Kings win at this point is still having the Kepragard and Scorpion Legion, with Scorpion Legion just died, while you make the Vargulf and the Strigoi Lord have to fight the Hyro Titan to capture the point or anything. That's the only way you win. So you got to kill off everything else and just hope that the Kepragard are still around to help out a little bit, though they're running out of HP and regeneration and stuff. But if you're fighting on top of Vampire Count support, I mean, it's taking a bad situation, just making it literally unplayable. Still have 2 zombies that are real. There's no summons out, so everything here is real. A Skeleton Spearman is also real and dying. Ushabti summon still has 30 seconds of life left where they're getting as much damage out as they can. The Crypt Horrors are dying. The Hyro Titan's also dying, though. 5,000 HP left. Strigoi Lord is 3,000. Vargulf, I don't even see his heal cap, so he probably has a lot more to go. It's probably doomed for the Tomb Kings unless the Hyro Titan gets some incredible RNG. He is getting decent shots on the Strigoi Lord, but the Vargulf is also getting really good shots on him constantly. Monkey punch, monkey punch, monkey punch, monkey punch. Every monkey punch takes him down 300 more HP, and the monkey punches keep coming. He just don't miss. Monkey punch. And that is GG. It was a close one. It was a close one. Closer than I thought it would be when I saw the builds, but Vampire Counts did clutch it out. 3,700 for the Sphinx Usef, 1,500 for the Hyro Titan. Cetra 1900, Kepragard 1800, so pretty good from those guys. They said for Solmier 4,000 for his Lord. White King got 700. Zombies and Skeletons, not much value to really speak of, but they did their jobs. Crypt Horrors did okay, Vargeist did okay, and the Vargulf with 2,800. Whew! All right. VM back on the board, bringing us to 1-1. There will not be a sweep this day. As we move into domination, Charix versus Chosen. Charix, a very strong domination player, mostly plays Wood Elves. Though last time I cast these guys, he didn't play his Wood Elves, and it pissed me off. So surely today he will bring his beloved Wood Elves. And he didn't, because they're banned. I'm stupid. Okay, well, I'm dumb as hell. I don't want to watch this game anymore because he's not on Wood Elves, but whatever. High Elves, led by Lethan R. Let's go. Versus Chosen's Ogre Kingdoms, High Elves versus Ogre Kingdoms, and man, the High Elves are going for the Tomb King strategy of just spawning a shit ton of bros. Look at that starting army from the High Elves, my goodness. Ships Company and Spearmen as far as the eye can see, 2 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, 5 Archers, a Net Caster, and then a Lethanar with Slippery and the Moonbow. That is a wild high elf start, and I don't hate it. I like it. Ooh, and a second summon is the Mage of Metal with Plague of Rust and the Starwood Staff for more Winds of Magic. On the other side for the Ogres, we have some stealth shenanigans. Gnoblar Trappers and Gorgers going to take 0.3, and Gnoblar Trappers taking 0.2. We do have a Slaughtermaster of Death with Purple Sun, Fate of Buna, and Aspect of the Dread Knight. Some Sabertusk packs, and then Ogre Bowls all across the board. We have Ogre Bowls and Iron Guts. A lot of big gutted boys. Some Gnoblars here too. Gotcha. All right. We'll see what both sides summon in. I imagine High Elves are going to want to summon some Cavalry to provide some mass and protect themselves, like probably Illyrian Reavers and Silverhelms. And the other side, the Ogres are going to want to summon some more Gnoblars. Maybe not like a ton, but a couple more Gnoblars for some more stuff to buffer for the Ogres so they don't just have to fight on spears all alone. And then I'm predicting a couple Lead Belchers. VM is a clan, not a country, right? Apologies, I'm a noob. Yeah, we had some complaints last time we did the World Cup where there were some people like, hey man, me and my friends want to play, but we're not actually in the same country, but we're in this clan. Like, can you open this up a little bit so I can play with my friends rather than like grouping up with 4 strangers because I'm technically Spanish, but I don't know any of these people. And I was like, sure, just sign up as a clan. So VM signed up. VM is Vermont. Yes, perfect. All right, Ogres seem content to have 0.3 for now, and then they're going to try and do a build-up. But they are going to be taking Bolt Thrower harassment and Alethanar harassment while they do this. So this isn't free. And Chosen has built up a lot of supplies. I wonder what he's going to summon. No way he summons a Thunder Tusk, right? That seems troll. Versus Alethanar and 2 Bolt Throwers that you can see. You know those are all there. The Thunder Tusk is just going to walk into a ton of fire and die. It won't get much damage value out. Please don't do that. Please don't summon a Thunder Tusk. That's troll as fuck. Vatican plus Monaco. Yes. Lyran Reaver archers stumble into some stalked Gnoblar trappers. They are going to fall back after taking a decent amount of damage, but Gnoblar trappers don't have the most range. Still a good little trap for the ogres, but hopefully they don't overextend and lose any advantage they just got. And I'm getting really concerned here. What is Chosen saving up for? Sky Striders, maybe? Okay, he summons an Ogre Bull, but he still has 2,500 supplies. And I can recognize that this is a build-up tactic. I'm not an idiot. He's trying to build up a giant force so he can charge the High Elves all at once without feeding people slowly into the Archer blender. But CA nerfed that playstyle, so he has less time to build up a respectable force. And the High Elves brought enough long-range tools that he is poking at him, whereas usually the build-up strategy was brought when neither army had enough range to interact with each other. So then the build-up was not punished, but yeah. The points ticking up earlier and the constant poke from the High Elves is making this build up a little more costly. Now a little. Chosen has done a great job of keeping all of his forces back and either on the other side of trees from archers or directly in the trees in the case of his lord. So he's really not taking that much gold damage value yet, which is huge. That's a very good play from the ogres. Nice patient style, good use of the landscape, no complaints. But I do worry about their ability to push the High Elves off. Now for the High Elves, they need to be very careful. To me, it seems obvious what the ogres are doing. They're doing a build-up, so your front line needs to be able to withstand that first punch. Otherwise, these archers are all just going to get absolutely massacred. So I need to see what they've been summoning to try and reinforce these front lines, and I'm a little alarmed, honestly. He summoned a lot more archers. Well, not a lot more, but a Lothern Seaguard here. I think another archer somewhere. We have some Silverhums, I guess, but this isn't the amount of summons I would have wanted to see out of the High Elves to really bolster those lines and be ready to repel the ogre's first advance. So I'm a little skeptical. I think the High Elves are in real danger of folding under the pressure of the first charge, and that's exactly what the build-up strategy is meant to do. You sacrifice the early game, and then in the mid game you steamroll over your opponent so horribly that you triple cap, but also you push them back into their spawn and they just can't ever get out of their spawn again. That's the whole point of a build-up, and here we go. So the High Elves, it's a tower defense game. You had your time to build up your economy. You had your time to prepare your defenses. Are you ready for the onslaught? We have an overcast net onto these ogres and Sabertusk packs and stuff, but one of the Sabertusk packs slipped through the net and is already harassing the archers, so they're not here to punish this net play, really. Other archers are also under attack by the Gorgers, so beautiful charge in for the ogres so far, and we have some super slow spearmen trying to wander their way back and protect the back lines retroactively, which is going to be very hard to do. As for the main front line, the ogres are through it, and I feel like my concerns are justified. Some Lyran Reavers are summoned now to sprint forward on the point and try and stop those guys, but the spearmen are just getting ignored or overrun. And the Ogre Bulls are here to party. Kyle sent a membership. Thank you so much, Kyle. 2 by for the explanation. VR are the only country that haven't committed IRL war crimes, so they have my support. All right, archers falling back under the cover of the Illyrian Reavers. Now, I've been singing the praises of the ogres because they punch through the enemy lines effectively, and I've been critical of the High Elves. Where to be happy about the High Elves? They are up on damage value. The Ogres are taking a heavy cost for pushing through these lines, and they need to be able to capitalize on actually finishing off the archers and chasing them off the map. Otherwise, it is all for nothing. Another big overcasted net down from the High Elves as the archers continue to try and get damage out. But that's where all the positive things I have to say end, is the High Elves are still being pushed back and still attritioning out pretty badly on frontline, and soon those archers are just going to be swamped in a bunch of bullshit. As you can see, these two archers technically healthy, but neither of them is effective now that the Saber-Tusk pack is there. There's another archer that's already routing. There's an Illyrian Reaver archer that's rallying in the trees, and now ogres have reached some of the bolt throwers, so things are getting very concerning. Alethanar has a little bit of ammunition left, but after that he's going to have to go hunting in melee as Ogre Bulls find themselves some more archers. You're going to see this damage value start to close aggressively, and the ogres will catch up, if not pull ahead. We have some Yetis summoned out with their little frost aura thing. It is going to be very difficult for anybody to kite away from them. I think they're summoned here for Silver Helms. They don't want the Silver Helms to be able to cycle charge freely anymore. They want them to get punished for that. And Charix summons more ranged units despite this dire circumstance. I disagree, my friend. I am very concerned. Now, I don't know what he has in reserves that can really fix this situation, but again, I feel like I've made my concerns clear that maybe these High Elves went a little too ranged heavy and didn't have enough beef to keep themselves online. Chosen is not closing the damage value gap as much as I would have thought, but it is closing slowly. A huge overcast purple sun in the middle of the Storm Riders and the retreating Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower crew just takes both of them down very quickly, and now Chosen is starting to make up that damage value gap by quite a lot. High Elves have a triple cap though, and that is not nothing. Is it all a bait and switch as the High Elves summon more bullshit in their backline for the ogres to keep chasing? They are currently holding the center field, and the ogres will have to eventually return and push them off those points. Lead Belchers have been summoned now. More Yetis are getting summoned, though now I'm getting concerned for Chosen. Is he over-indexing into damage? Is he overdoing it on chasing down all the High Elves and all this shit? Because Yetis don't take points very well. Lead Belchers don't take points at all. So what are you going to do to get back here and stop the triple cap from happening? What up, Segos? How you doing? We cast one of your games earlier. It was funny. Boglars of the Mad Marshes pushed back. The ogres are very damaged. So this is what I'm talking about, and I'm all of a sudden getting excited. I don't know why I paused that on half to the game's not moving that fast, but like, so the ogres got their achievement. They own this territory. So now anything you spawn directly into Ogre Bulls and Saber-Tusk packs and all that bullshit. They took a lot of damage to do it, but they've done it. Now the problem is the High Elves switched what we're doing, and the High Elves now are completely separated from their spawn zone, which could be a bad thing, but the High Elves are betting. They're saying, hey, look, you're overextended. You don't have the oomph left to turn around and take us out. And now if the ogres turn and fight like they're going to, now you can summon in stuff that's behind them and either get rear charges with Silver Helms or summon archers that can fire at their backs. So the High Elves are accepting that they lost the front line, and instead of rather than sending their tattered frontline units back into their own zone to try and hit the ogres, they just set up a different spot, and they're forcing the ogres to leave their spawn zone alone so they can spawn in some reinforcements. It is a good play. It's a bad situation that the High Elves made bearable, so that is very good play from them. Still, the ogres did a great job overwhelming them. I'm just saying the High Elves did a good job keeping a cool head and turning the game back somewhat in their agency, because if they got everybody trapped in their own spawn, they're completely fucked. Like, there's no way they win the game if they're all stuck in their spawn. They just can't do it. So good job. Silver Helms getting hit with a Dismember to slow them down for the Ogre Bulls with dual weapons and Saber-Tusk to catch them, but these are Silver and Guard, full health Silver and Guard standing on that point. The Ogres, to their credit, have taken point 1. Wow, they have not taken point 1. They're still getting triple cap. There we go. They took point 2, still haven't taken point 1 somehow. Nobblers have horrible capture rate, and I guess the Iron Guts are super injured. As, yeah, he's summoning against the Valyrian Reavers. He is desperately trying to race to that point. You hold, and the Nobblers are off the point. Big mistake from the Ogres. The Valyrian Reavers are going to be able to get on that point and secure it and keep a double cap for the High Elves as the capture point is becoming incredibly relevant. Silver Helms also charging forward. It's all hands on deck. The High Elves are just throwing bodies at points, trying to get the points to attrition out in their favor, and they're going to save point 1 as the Ogres are busy dealing with the Lethanar and the Mage of Light. They abandon that. You see the Yetis and the Ogre Bulls sprinting over to the spot, but the damage is already done. The Illyrian Reavers are already buying time. They're buying a little bit more capture weight. Just every tick, tick, tick of the points is good for the High Elves, but the Ogres are going to take point 3 any second. Now the Silver and Guard are doing well damage-wise, but they can't out-capture 5 fucking units that are on top of them. These guys are also going to lose point 1, but they're trying valiantly. They're trying heroically to hold on to these points as some Spearmen are summoned in. Sharks is sprinting towards the point. Still the Ogres are getting capture weight on. Still the Alien Reavers have to back off, and now the Ogres should be able to capture the spot, but no, a full health Leithanar is coming to try and contribute his capture weight. Lov and Seaguard are pin cushioning the Yetis. All of the Ogres are so damaged that really it's only the Yetis providing any capture weight at all. Point 3 has fallen to the Ogre Kingdoms. The Silver and Guard continue to fight over there, but it doesn't matter. The fight is for point 1, and point 1 is all that matters. It's the High Elves' last hope to win this game, is to not lose this point and win on a single cap. The Ogres need a triple cap to win at this point because math is not mathing in their favor. Spearmen are running forward. Dragon Princes, you took the time to summon Dragon Princes in a dire moment such as this? I mean, if it was me, I'd just be panic spamming anything that was cheap and had bodies. I need living, breathing bodies on the point. But he takes the time to summon some Dragon Princes. He's going to get a beautiful charge in on these Ogre Bulls, who are going to counter charge as best they can. The Leithanar was disrupting them a little bit. Nice charge, big damage, decent capture weight, and we can see more green, ticking green, which is huge for the High Elves. 150 seconds left. That means 2.5 minutes. There's 2.5 minutes for the Ogre Kingdoms to somehow get the High Elves off this point, as they have fully captured it back. So all the Ogre Kingdoms' progress was lost. 1 or 2 more ticks from the Noblars next to the point earlier could have put this game in the dirt, but the High Elves have managed to rally. They put their Lather and Sea Guards bodies also on the point, sacrificing their positioning as archers to just try and help out capture. Leithanar is going to outduel the Slaughtermaster. He's a way better combatant. Nearly 50 on each melee stat versus 20s and 30s. So yeah, he's going to win versus that Slaughtermaster. Dragon Prince is getting good damage out versus cheap Ogre Bulls, and Spearmen are here. The infantry are here, and the Ogres are having a very difficult time pushing the High Elves off, as the High Elves seem to be gaining momentum on this point, not losing it. Illyrian Reaver archers are running around. Charix has retained a bit of a gold value lead, but man, that was a hell of a comeback from a rough charge by the Ogres. The High Elves managed to make this into quite a game. 100 seconds left on the clock, but the Ogres are starting to out-capture. These Spearmen are not enough to hold. They're damaged. They're too damaged. Dragon Princes aren't on the point either, so the High Elves do need to refocus. They need to get some more boys on the point, but they're trying to take the center point, and the Ogres have to throw everything they have at the first point to take it. They're going to do that, but the High Elves will take the second point, and again, you still need a triple cap to win. So as long as these annoying High Elves have some point somewhere, they'll be just fine. The ticker has stopped, but the ticker's going to restart as point 2 is taken. I'm a little concerned for the High Elves, though. Just a little bit. The Ogres are catching up on gold damage value, which is really bad because they've gotten definitely more healing than the High Elves had, so they actually have more lads on the battlefield right now. The Silver and Guard are slowly grinding away at the Noblars on point 3. I do think the High Elves are advantaged to win this game at this point. I think the Ogres, if there was no capture points, would eventually kill everybody here, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing capture points, baby. Everybody for the High Elves is pushed off of point 2. The Ogres run over. They're going to capture, but will they capture it fast enough? And meanwhile, the High Elves are just... they're putting on their best Mongolia representation, and they're not going to fight you straight up. They're going to run around and just capture what little points they need to win this game. The High Elves have stopped spawning infantry of any kind. They're relying entirely on mobility. They capture point 3 as they lost point 2. They're always maintaining at least one capture somewhere, and he is going to win this game, I believe. That was a crazy seesaw of a game. But I think the High Elves have it. I don't think there's any way the Ogres win now. As we have more Silver Helms charging over to point 1, there's only the tattered remnants of Ogres over here, so actually the High Elves would capture that given enough time, and the Ogres aren't able to capture point 3 in time. I think that's it. We have 20 seconds left on the clock, and the High Elves are going to probably clutch it out. Whew! That was spicy. That was a little spicy for me. I need some milk, some sour cream, some cheese to get that spice level off my tongue. That's messed up. Good job from the High Elves. Good scrap back. The Ogres need to capture something when advancing. Yeah. Yeah, they did. Leithanar got really good value. Spearmen did their jobs. Archers were pressured back. They actually didn't get that much value out. Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers also struggled a bit. Excuse me. For reinforcements, Silver and Guard did fine. Lather and Seaguard did fine. Silver Helms and Dragon Princes did very, very well, as did the Illyrian Reavers. The side for Chosen, his Lord got a lot of value. Ogre Bulls did fine. Iron Guts struggled a little bit. Noble Trappers did fine. Sabertusk did fine. Though, who knows how many times he resummoned them. Yeah, more Ogre Bulls doing fine. Lead Belchers got shut down off screen somewhere. I missed that happening. And the Yetis did okay. They didn't do great. Whew! Whew! All right, that was spicy. Sorry, somebody messaged me, so I was just making sure it wasn't important. Okay. Charix, making me sweat. Making me sweat, brother. I did say VM is one of the top 3 in this tournament, and they need to win the next 2. They can't lose any more games as Charix gets a second win on the board for the Slavic Mushroom Pickers. Okay, Berserk's my boy. He can beat Guac. He can beat Guac. Okay. Here's the thing. All right, Berserk's gonna beat Guac. We know that. We all know that. It's easy. It's in the bag. It's done. Guac can't win. So really, it's on the next game, Pizu versus Ozic. Because if Ozic wins, then for sure, Berserk comes through for me, and VM moves on, and I don't look like a big dummy for predicting them. But it's getting a little stressful. Okay, so there was Charix. Delete that so I don't keep clicking past it. And then we have Pizu versus Ozic. And the High Elves going for their second win in a row, this time on the side of VM. So if you want the last match to be the decider, you are rooting for the High Elves once again as we get into game. Kislev for Pizu to clutch it out for the Slavic Mushroom Pickers. Sorry, Guac. My predictions need to be correct, or I will lose legitimacy as a caster and an expert. It's just the way the world works, brother. All right, let's do it. On a misty, foggy morning, let's do it. A Zargard front line for Pizu, Armored Kossars, and Streltsy backing them up. So not a ton of infantry, but very elite infantry. We also have Ulrika for Melkot's caster, plus some skirmish and her own source of healing. And then Boris Ursus on a horse, which always looks weird to me. He just like needs to be on his bear or he looks strange. Shardblade is good at clearing out mass amounts of infantry, and then he has Fury of Urson and Foe Seeker for some extra combat effectiveness. Hey, Trogdor, glad you made it, buddy. You missed a crazy domination game. Crazy. On the other side, we have Caradrian, who brought his infantry heal, and that is it. He is also on horse. Lion Chariots of Krace for some armor-piercing mass. Teclis with Chain Lightning and Bound Fiery Convocation. Interesting not to see Regrowth on him, but I do know that Regrowth isn't as good in Domination as it is in Land Battles and Conquest. We have some Oceanids off in the behind the temple, hiding for now. And then we have Ship's Company, White Lions of Krace, Shadow Walkers for some skirmish, and then summoning in more White Lions. So both sides going very elite on their spawn in, but Kislev spending it mostly on their infantry, while High Elves spent it on some monstrous infantry, very expensive skirmishers, and then expensive single entities and chariots. Ulrika takes a nasty volley from the Shadow Walkers, has to fall back with almost half her HP missing. Jeez. Jesus Christ. Shadow Walkers continuing to fire in. High Elves took 2 points quickly, and they're going to try and hold this one with some Silver and Garden Ship's Company, accepting damage in trade for that extra value. But the High Elves are the ones that are fine with the early game going to Kislev. With double Shadow Walkers kiting, they just want to pump ammo out and give up space for that in the early game. So the early double capture just buys them more time later for their Shadow Walkers to get more damage out. Meanwhile, Kislev's got to get something going, and they got to get something going soon. Remember, if you want the last game to be the determining factor, then you are rooting for the High Elves this one, because currently Kislev's side is up 2-1 for the Slavic Mushroom Pickers. If Kislev wins this game, they are moving on to the semifinals. Fun fact, Shadow Walkers are the most accurate archers in the game. Weird, it's not Way Watchers? You think it'd be Way Watchers. Streltsy firing in at the Silver and Guard, who have presented their backs, but yeah. Azek's just given up 0.3. As we discussed, he really wants to get value out of these Shadow Walkers while he summons in more infantry. He doesn't want to get into an early dumb fight with the Zargard, lose it, and then have to just slowly feed infantry into a Zargard blender. Now, Zargard aren't Sword Masters, as we saw in a different stream earlier today. Sword Masters were just killing infinite units on infinite units, but I mean, still, Silver and Guard don't want to fight Zargard. Not smart. Lion Chariots get a little charge in, get a little cheeky damage. Need to be careful not to sit too long in front of Streltsy, but, you know, they can take some damage here and there as the Shadow Walkers continue to fire in. More Armored Cossars are summoned. Griffin Legions also here. Currently uncontested in the Cavalry sphere. The High Elves haven't brought any cavalry to the fore yet, so these Griffin Legions could be running around the back line. It looks like they're going to start some cycle charging shenanigans, just get some extra damage in. Yeah, beautiful charge on the White Lions of Krace. Decent damage, but, you know, they're not Slongors or light infantry. They can take a charge and not die instantly. Still good damage. Boris is chasing down the Shadow Walkers, and this is a bit of a disaster for Azek. Losing that much HP off of a very expensive skirmisher this early into its life is pretty bad. They have a lot of ammunition left, so they really don't want to be taking that damage right now. Caradrian is going to try and hunt down Boris, though. This could be a bit of a problem. The poison from the Shadow Walker's arrows is slowing him down enough that Caradrian can catch up. And Boris is now trying to pivot back to his own lines. Now, thankfully for Boris, horse-on-horse jank is wild. So as long as he keeps moving, Caradrian's actually not going to swing at him. So as long as he doesn't get stuck on anything, he won't actually take any damage. Zargard are starting to attrition out. Lion Chariot cycle charging, plus Oceanids entering the fight, and White Lions of Krace chopping through them is getting pretty bad. And this is really good positioning for the High Elves. The pistol infantry are straight shot infantry, but the fight is taking place over a hill, so they're slightly blocked. And Boris has to use a shard blade to peel himself. He needs the frostbite and the slow to get Caradrian off of him. That is really bad for Kislev. He wants the shard blade cast only in giant blobs of infantry like that, but he just had to use it for nothing. Really bad stuff. Now, I don't know if you want to say he was pressured to do that because of Caradrian, or if it was a misplay from Kislev just kind of hitting every button since he was in combat. But yeah, really don't want to use that spell like that. Pretty rough stuff. Griffin Legion getting pushed back by Oceanids and White Lions of Krace, plus Shadow Walker Overwatch Fire. Zargard also going to retreat, just deciding this fight isn't for them. Kislev is not doing very well on the damage value. Azek is taking some really good fights. He's the High Elves. High Elves are taking some really good fights across this hill so that the Streltsy and the Armored Cossars couldn't provide Overwatch Fire. Caradrian's been used very effectively. Their Shadow Walkers are getting a lot of good damage out. So Azek's just playing this calm, playing this very collected. And Kislev, like, they're not playing bad, but they are playing recklessly, you know? I'm not seeing like a lot of big blunders like, oh, you forgot this unit, or oh, you AFK'd this, or whatever, but he seems to just be like, I want to fight. And he's clicking on the nearest units for whatever his units can fight at any moment in time. And it doesn't feel like he has a larger strategy at play. It feels like he's bar fighting while his opponent is like playing chess. So Kislev's just in here just fucking throwing hands at anybody they can get. Like this, like Boris overextending into Oceanids because he was kicking Caradrian's ass. It's like, sure, you're kicking Caradrian's ass, but look around you, bro. Oceanids now under pressure as Ulrika is in there. She doesn't have magic damage though. Griffin Legion trying to run down some of these Shadow Walkers. Zargard, Streltsy, and the other guys falling apart as Kislev has retaken 0.3. In the center, High Elves are also pushing through, and Kislev is starting to take a lot of damage. Those White Lions having a great time. Zargard are threatening capture on 0.1, however. And Boris got away from the Oceanids with the help of his Griffin Legion. Now he's back on to fighting Caradrian. Really not going to let Caradrian rest. And like I said before, Teclis did not bring regrowth as in comes a Fiery Convocation. Good poke down some Streltsy. A little bit of damage on Griffin Legion, but not much. But ooh, now this is big for Kislev. Caradrian getting sniped out by Boris is huge. And Ulrika finding her way onto Teclis is massive. She is a much better combatant, but she also has a bow, meaning she gets more consistent damage out than basic, like, horse characters usually do. We saw the Green Knight earlier today chasing around a goblin for like 50 minutes. Ulrika's not going to do that because she gets shots off occasionally too. Teclis and the boys getting a very, very big gold damage value lead, but if you can snipe out Teclis, High Elves have good leadership, don't get me wrong. High Elves have good leadership, but Teclis is expensive. He's hard to resummon, and High Elves need their casters. They need a lot of magic to really be a good faction. Silverhelm's getting hit with the Shard Blade. That's the good use of the Shard Blade that we want to see. Really churning them up. And Teclis is taking consistent damage from it too. Getting very low. He is going to die. Big win for Kislev. They're still super far down on damage value. This is going to be an uphill fight for them, but that is a good play, and they're going to need a couple more of those. Let's go, Mushroom Pickers, Stormzilla. Yeah, if you want the Mushroom Pickers to just finish this out, you're rooting for Kislev to fully mount the comeback. If you want VM to stay in it and the 5th game to be all the marbles, then you're rooting for the High Elves. High Elves currently in the lead, though Kislev has done some pretty good fighting back here. They do have a double cap, so they're still pulling ahead on tickets slowly. They did take out Techless, which means either Ozek's going to have to stop summoning reinforcements to slowly get Techless back, or just accept he's going to be fighting without magic for the rest of the game. The leadership is really not what I'm concerned about at all. High Elves function perfectly fine without their Lord's leadership. Obviously, you'll take it if you can get it, but it's not like a loss condition. Oh, we lost our leadership. Our units just suck now. That's not going to happen. But Boris is in some trouble. He's surrounded by Silverhelms and Oceanids, neither of which deal that much damage to him. Neither are armor-piercing or anti-large, but, well, I guess, yeah, Oceanids aren't armor-piercing, so he'll be okay, but not great. And he will eventually die. Yeah, Azek had to take the Lord tax and resummon Techless, so the advantage of Kislev is gone, and let's see what they were able to do with it. We did get another full health Zargard, another full health Griffin Legion, but that is it. So it's a Zargard and a Griffin Legion for a Techless. They're still going to have a hard time retaking this map as the High Elves have recaptured their own point 1. Boris pops his buffs to just try and fight his way out with as many stats as he can. He's stabbing his way through Silverhelms as Techless is coming back. And here comes some more Oceanids. Kislev's going to try and sweep up the remnants of the High Elves on point 3 and retake that. So it seems like Kislev is content to try and pursue a strategy of consistent double capping rather than true battlefield dominance of like, we need to beat the High Elves back into their spawn. It seems like now they're just like, as long as we have 2 points, we're fine. Silverhelms for the High Elves going to charge into Griffin Legion and Zargard. That's probably not a fight they're going to win. And meanwhile, on the other point, we have some tattered remains, but honestly, Kislev did okay cleaning up. Damage value is heavily in the High Elves' favor, but looking at the battlefield, I think Kislev is okay. Not great. Not great. The High Elves are still definitely advantaged on like every unit on the battlefield versus every other unit on the battlefield. Slam them together like action figures. The High Elves are going to win. But actual like battlefield standing, Kislev's not out of it yet, which is good. Things were looking a little rough for them for a while. In comes a Fiery Convocation. The Zargard need to move a little forward to not take any damage from it, but overall it's not on a great angle to hit them. It's just here for the Griffin Legion. Gets really good damage down on them, and the Zargard do manage to dodge some of it. Boris is technically still alive. As a combat lord, though, he is too low HP to be too much effective for the rest of this game, but he is alive, meaning Kislev still has good leadership. Griffin Legion still scrapping to death with Oceanids and not getting much damage out, and they are slowly taking damage of their own. So it looks like they're going to retreat, and they're trying to sandwich in the Lion Chariots of Christ with another Winged Lancer. That is a big play. Lion Chariot's getting smoked right now, and that's an expensive unit. Trying to get Pizu back in this game damage value-wise as he takes out that entire unit. Do have some Rangers summoned in. Rangers will do pretty badly against Zargard, honestly, pretty badly. Techless is dueling with Boris. Boris is an insane duelist compared to Techless, but he does have only 1,000 HP left, so he is significantly battered. As the Fury of Urson goes down, he's rampaged, but he's rampaged onto Techless, so he has exactly the right target as he's trying to snipe out Techless yet again. Ulrika is nearby, offering a little bit of support. She has magic and melee where she does have the hunger to heal her, but she has no ammunition left. Something is getting summoned down here. I don't know who cast it. That is a chain lightning from Techless onto his own Oceanids. He's also trying to take out the Zargard, so I guess that's working, but a little bit of friendly fire. The Oceanids aren't taking as much damage as I feared, though, so I guess they're fine. Oof. Boris is kicking the shit out of Techless anyway. He does have By Our Blood procced. Now, Kislev still holds point 3 for now. The High Elves are trying to take it. We have more Winged Lancers, more Griffin Legion charging in. Kislev is really investing in their cavalry in the late game. And that is how we saw the Beastmen under Ash in an earlier stream today. The Beastmen pulled back a game that looked lost with some really good Centaur and Tuskor Chariot play. So, the Kislev is focusing more on playmaking tools and trying to turn this game around through good mechanics, rather than just spam a summon out infantry and hope for the best. Because infantry, you can't play make as much. It's just stat versus stats. And when you're behind on damage, the enemy's going to have more stats than you. So Griffin Legion really trying to win this out. Boris is desperately trying to kill Techless yet again and really put the screws on the High Elves. Still, Kislev is slowly losing the capture point to the High Elves. Rangers doing good. War Lions trying to get in here, and they get hit with the Melkoths. I don't know if that's really worth it, as also the High Elves have summoned Storm Riders and White Lions. Meanwhile, Pizu summons more Griffin Legion. Everything all in on cavalry, while the High Elves summon infantry after infantry. A rogue Fiery Convocation did very little damage, and Boris is down to 600 HP. He's trying to path out of here. He is dangerously low to routing, and he is going to rout, meaning the High Elves can chase him off if they have the resources to do so. Though he is on a horse, not on a bear, so he's a little faster than they're used to dealing with. Capture points. Kislev is about to lose this point, so they have 1 cap left. They need 250 points to win. Well, the enemy needs 600. So if my super quick math is correct, the High Elves have to triple cap to win, I think. Melkoth's out from Ulrika as the Griffin Legion hold all these guys in place. The Oceans are getting close to crumbling away. Meanwhile, a Chain Lightning is down, but a good dodge from Kislev and unfortunate RNG from the High Elves actually means that Chain Lightning is going to do more High Elf damage than Kislev damage. So good dodge there. Where is Boris? Boris is routing back towards his own point. Storm Riders are trying to take him out, and the Griffin Legion, I don't know if intentional or not, does not look intentional, but they did put their bodies on the line to save him. Meanwhile, Silver and Guard brace for this charge. The Griffin Legion not going to have a good time. They will run away. It looks like they're going to turn towards the Lion Chariots of Krace. Storm Riders get more shots onto Boris, but they're not able to quite kill him yet, and we have light war sleds. At this point, what Kislev is summoning makes me think they are doing the same math I am, and I think they've also come to the conclusion that he needs a triple cap. Because otherwise you would be desperately trying to take point 3, but all he is doing is he's buying mitigating forces. He's going to try and just stop the High Elves from physically getting here by throwing chariots, by throwing cavalry, by throwing everything at their bodies and stopping them from moving forward, rather than trading up in value or even trying to retake points. Meanwhile, Wing Lancers and Griffin Legion, again, just harassing these High Elves. That's the whole point, is just harass them, harass them, harass them, stop them from getting back here. If he can hold for 2.5 more minutes, he wins this game. Kislevite Warriors are here. He's trying to throw them on the point so that anybody who does get here doesn't have significant cap weight to push him off. Good charging from Light War Sleds. Griffin Legions are trying to get behind the Silver Helms. The High Elves definitely have more troops on the battlefield. They definitely feel like they can win if they have time, but time is of the essence and time is running out. What's also tough is the High Elves can't just right-click everybody onto this point. They need to keep point 3 because, man, if a Kosovo Dervish just spawned back here and ran over to point 3 and took it and you lost the game, that would be really brutal. Now Kislev is starting to spawn Kislevite Warriors, and I'm actually very concerned about this. I feel like they committed to spawning mobility to stop the High Elves from even getting here, but then pivoted to Kislevite Warriors very late. And now I'm worried the Kislevite Warriors aren't even going to get here before this is decided. So I kind of I don't get it. I feel like if you were going to spawn Kislevite Warriors, you had to do that first and mobility second. Because this is just awkward now. Because the High Elves are here. Your Kislevite Warriors aren't going to make it in time. And you're not going to be able to recapture that from them. The High Elves have too much lead. Boris has hidden himself in the trees just as a bit of a leadership sponge. And yeah, now dervishes are getting summoned. Man, I feel like Kislev was doing really good, but now they feel scattered. They're now trying to retake this point as the High Elves have a triple cap, but it's not a guaranteed single cap. If they take this back, because of the time that the High Elves have triple capped, now Kislev is going to need a double capture at some point, which is going to be very difficult. Kosovo dervishes jump in. The Kislevite Warriors are in here doing their best. Light War Sleds are doing their best as well, but the High Elves just have the stats to stay on this point. Ulrika is going for a sneaky back capture. We still have a full health White Lion of Krace over here. So it looks like Kislev's new plan to win it is Ulrika sneaky back capture, which maybe goes through. Ship's Company are sprinting towards her, and they are going to try and just win the fight at point 2. Leave a full health White Lion of Krace as just the tax the High Elves have to pay to secure point 3 and hope they can win over here. Kislev is starting to win on capture weight. They can summon closer to this point because it is closer to them, and Boris is even recommitting to the battle, realizing he is more needed for just a couple hits of damage rather than that. But the fate of the High Elves is set. They will win because the Ship's Company reached Ulrika, and without a double cap, Kislev was not going to win. Damn. 2 very close domination games. We went into domination 1-1. We leave domination 2-2. It does come down to Berserk versus Guac. 3,000 value for Ulrika, 2,400 for Boris. The Zargard were honestly very underwhelming to me. Even without Swordmasters to chop them down, I think maybe Pizu would have been a little better off with just Armored Kossar spam. I don't know. That's hindsight, and also I'm not that great of a domination player, so you can probably just tell me to kick bricks and I'll have to go do that. But Griffin Legion did okay. They were summoned in multiple times. Light War Sleds were summoned in super late and just tried to body block. Teclis did well. Caradrian struggled against Boris. White Lion Chariots did well. Shadow Walkers did well. Rangers did okay. The White Lions really performed super well against the Zarguard. That was honestly, I didn't think they'd do that well versus them, so that was a bit embarrassing for the Zarguard. The White Lions, War Lions did fine. I think they were summoned 2 or 3 times, so that value is a little inflated. Comes down to last game of the day. I've done 4 streams. This is the 4th stream. I'm on the last game of the 4th stream, and it is also the decider for who goes to the semifinals, VM or the Slavic Mushroom Pickers. Guac versus Berserk. Guac is an uphill battle. He was in the chat earlier. He was getting mad at me, but Berserk, currently the 2nd best player in the world. You know, runner up to Alfredino in several tournaments. Recently has started to reclaim his spot from Sipa. No, actually, sorry. Sipa is currently the 2nd best player in the world. Berserk has been playing better than Sipa recently, but also there haven't been that many big tournaments. And in the big tournaments, Sipa has been outperforming Berserk. So Berserk's on that vengeance to get his spot as 2nd or even 1st if he can beat old man, washed out, retired out Alfredino. So yeah, either 2nd or 3rd best player in the world, Berserk versus Guac. That is rough. I would give Berserk the advantage. But Guac, can you pull out the 1 win on Pillar of Bone? What factions do we have? Guac on Bretonnia versus Berserk's Beastmen. All right. Slavic Mushroom Pickers going to semifinals, baby. Let's go. Beastmen are washed up pieces of shit. The boys have done it. The boys have done it. We'll cast the game, though it's already decided. Bretonnia, led by Guac, versus Beastmen, led by Berserk. Centaurs versus Knights of the Realm. For the Beastmen build, Malagor Dark Omen with a Cygor summon and Flock of Doom. A bunch of Centaurs in the vanguard on one flank. They're not directly behind the Bretonnians. They're off to the side. Centaurs and Centaurs are throwing axes. I thought I saw Centaurs with great weapons too. Yes, Centaurs with great weapons as well. We have 3 Pestigors, 3 Ogre Spearman herds, a Gorbul hero as well. On the other side, we have the Wardens of Montfort, mounted yeoman archers with 2 other mounted yeoman archers. Then some Knights of the Realm, 1 Grail Knight. Then Spearmen at Arms, a Damsel of Life with Earthblood, and I thought I saw Lewin. Yes, Lewin Lancoeur up in the sky. Don't see a lot of mounted yeoman archers. We'll see if they're good in this matchup. Centaurs are Centaurs' great weapons are unshielded. Basic Centaurs have very low armor, bronze shields, so yeah, maybe they can get some decent damage there. For the lady indeed. Lewin getting some free damage out. He is not worried at all about taking damage from Ogre Spearman Herd, so he's just getting some free value before the game really starts. Cygor summon is out, and the Cygor is just going to aim at the Grail Knights. There he goes. He already took out 2 Grail Knight models. Can't heal that. That's pretty clever. I generally think Cygors are ass, but I guess if you're expecting incredibly expensive knights, then you can just guarantee take out a couple models with some rock throws. Knights of the Realm briefly distract the Cygor, and since he is a summon, that is brutal. Ooh, I don't like this. I think Berserk got distracted, and then he quickly recast his guy to start throwing again, but he's throwing at the Wardens of Montfort, which are just a cheap skirmish cav. He needs to refine the Grail Knights, which can be hard in a Bretonnian build because all their damn horse icons look the exact same. But yeah, I don't think throwing at the Wardens of Montfort is super worth it. He's got to refocus. The Grail Knights are actually suspiciously close to where the rocks are landing, but it's not actually what the Cygor is aiming at. Meanwhile, Knights of the Realm were trying to trade with some Centaurs throwing axes, instead get caught up on Ogre Spearman herds, and Berserk falls back, kiting them out with those armor-piercing shots. Who's more stinky, the Bretonnian peasants or the Beastmen? I mean, the Beastmen. Like, we meme about Bretonnian peasants, but I mean, come on, Beastmen are unholy. They smell awful, dude. Knights of the Realm dueling with Centaurs, though this looks like a really good situation for Berserk. The Bretonnians have to bail out of this quickly. They're on top of Pestigors. They're on top of armor-piercing, poisonous, slowing Nurgle units, and they're getting charged by 2 different armor-piercing Centaurs they need to run. They are running back through their own peasants, so very good escape by Guac. Not running out into the open where the Centaurs can catch you with their superior speed. So, very nice. Well played. On the other side, Centaurs' great weapons getting caught out by Lewin, so it's Guac that does the catching. annihilating that unit and pushing them back. Knights of Rome taking some damage, but the Beastmen are way up on the balance of power. Oh, it's because of the second Cygor summon. Yeah, okay. Summons are crazy artificially inflating the balance of power right now. As both of them are throwing at the Wardens of Montfort, Berserk fucking hates the Wardens of Montfort, apparently. I really don't agree with his prioritization of shooting at a fucking ROR skirmish cab with his Cygors. One fades away, it didn't get that much value. The other Cygor needs to make up for it. The other Cygor is going to throw at Knights of the Realm in a big old clump. Yeah, that's huge. That's good value, and that's just a Knight of the Realm. Imagine if they did that to Grail Knights. So we have two Knights of the Realm sitting back in the trees. They do need to get active, and it looks like they're going to countercharge these Centaurs with great weapons to defend the Damsel that they have. Big problem for Bretonnia is their infantry is getting shellacked, which we all knew was going to happen, but still. Ooh, Lewin cannot chase Malagor. Uh-oh. Any damage you get on him is neat, but you're not going to win the game that way unless you outright kill him, which I doubt Berserk's going to let Malagor die. Lewin needs to be doing what he was doing earlier. That beautiful pick he got over here, like providing his damage, providing his terror to help with the cav fights is how he's going to win, not sniping out Malagor. He thinks about diving in on all these Centaurs. There's not actually that much support for him nearby. In come the Knights of the Realm, getting him with a Flock of Doom, and now Lewin thinks about landing, but he's not going to. Pestigors have slowed his speed down to 23. You can see he lost 75 speed to the Tears of Nurgle passive from the Pestigors. That shit is so hard to deal with. Knights of the Realm take a really bad trade into the Centaurs of the Beastmen, and now the Sons of Goros get a good charge on the Knights of the Realm. Where are the Grail Knights? I haven't seen them for a bit. There they are. They're down to half HP, and they don't get an Earthblood. They were charging towards the Earthblood, but they didn't actually get it. As the Knights of the Realm all try and push off the Centaurs, they're not getting that much value on the chase, though, and they're getting herded back. The Beastmen have killed a lot of the Bretonnian peasants. The second Cygor summon is out, so there's no more artificial inflation of the balance of power, and still looks really bad as Berserk is successfully pushing off these Knights of the Realm. Their leadership is failing, and the Bretonnians are just running out of damage as the Beastmen are kind of closing in on all sides. Lewin does decide to commit to the fight. He commits onto some Pestigors and gets back up into the sky, so just kind of graze them with the top of his claws. Lands on the Gorbel, gets some decent damage down on the Gorbel. Now the Gorbel gets to duel Lewin, and Grail Knights are over here. They could surround that Gorbel and kill him very quickly, but it's risky, right? It's really risky. When Beastmen are in this position and they have so many more units than you, everything feels like a bait. Anything you do, there are Beastmen waiting to just pounce on you as soon as you commit to anything. The Gorbel is still getting his ass kicked by Lewin and some of these Knights of the Realm, but you can see Centaurs just lurking around the side like dogs waiting to take down a deer. They're just nipping at the heels of the Bretonnians, and here we go. Big surround onto the Knights of the Realm. Gonna absolutely chew them up and push them off the map very quickly without any Bretonnian support over here. Meanwhile, Lewin is still doing his best. So the Beastmen are just not engaging this central fight. They're letting the Grail Knights and Lewin do whatever they want as they clean up the rest of the scraps. They want to fight the Grail Knights when the Grail Knights are the absolute last things left on the map and they're just tired and dead. Now they have perfect vigor. They don't get tired in that sense. I meant like conceptually tired, not vigor tired. Other Knights of the Realm going to side charge the Sons of Goros, get some decent charge bonus in there, but they're so damaged and have so few models. The Sons of Goros are going to take damage, but not that much damage, and then they'll turn and just win the fight, especially with other Centaurs Grey Opens coming in. So this is getting pretty risky here for the Bretonnians, as Berserk just has so many health bars left, man. Malagor's taking some damage as Lewin's still full health, and Lewin's more expensive, so that's where a lot of balance of power is coming from. But if you look at the battlefield, it's getting really scary. Like, there's a lot of red health bars still around. And these three cavalry pieces are all skirmish cav that are running low on ammunition. So really, it's a Grail Knight and Lewin versus the world, damage-wise. Grail Knights and Lewin charging out after the Centaurs. Really want to catch them. The Centaurs are technically faster, but they get caught due to a little bit of miss micro, and Lewin will dive in. But is it still a good fight, or is he overextended? The Sons of Goros are nearby. The Gorbel is nearby. A lot of things are nearby to punish, and yeah, here they come. You can just see, in comes the dangerous ones. Gonna get a rear charge on the Grail Knights. Grail Knights HP at 3,000 before the charge, and let's watch afterwards. 2,800, 2,700, 2,500, down to 2,000. They're getting murdered by the Sons of Goros, and these are the last real hope of the Bretonnians. Stand your ground is procs, giving them impressive 67 melee defense. Almost nice. Give it 2 more, and then it's nice. Earthblood overcast on them as well, as they are churning through Centaurs. Lewin and the boys fighting to keep the Slavic mushroom pickers in the tournament. They are determined not to let VM take this. They want me to be wrong about who the best teams are. Sons of Goros are back in, charging into the Grail Knights. Grail Knights down below 1,000 1,000 HP. Lewin is still full health, but Lewin is mostly alone, as the skirmish cavalry, now out of ammunition, are getting chased around by the centaurs with great weapons, still getting some decent damage out. Can Lewin kill a half-health Gorbel, 3 wounded-ish centaurs, and 2 wounded-ish pestigors? Malagor doesn't count. He can easily kill Malagor. I don't think Lewin can kill that much crowd, but we'll see. Beastman leadership is notoriously fickle as Lewin continues to fight. He has a Damsel of Life nearby, though he has his own regeneration, so he doesn't really need her for that. I'm betting he wishes she had, he's wishing she had Dwellers Below right now. Just throw out a quick Dwellers Below before she gets routed off the map inevitably, because he doesn't need the healing. He's fine. Last, the mounted yeoman archers fight alongside their king while his Sword of Corone debuffs the Beastmen all around. The Gorbel is incredibly low on HP, and Lewin has done good damage to the other centaurs. This is starting to get a little concerning for the Beastmen. Like, I'd still say the Beastmen are favored. Again, I'm not trying to be like, oh, never mind, Lewin can kill all these guys, but like, this centaur can't solo him. That centaur is a throwing axe centaur with no throwing axes left. And then there's some infantry, and like, pestigors have armor piercing, I guess, but like, it's not impossible for Lewin to kill everybody here. Lewin's healing cap has arrived, so that is concerning. That does limit his ability to kill everybody. And centaurs are going to wrap him up and allow the Gorbel to escape. So the Gorbel is going to look for good opportunities to get charging in, because he really needs, when he charges, he needs to get good damage out. Oh, but the Grail Knights are back! The Grail Knights are back. They got a little bit of healing from the Damsel as they're trying to rout off the centaurs, and then maybe they can peel Malagor and get their Damsel back online where she can give them more Earthbloods, but she's actually going to shatter and go off the battlefield like a fucking coward. That's cool. That's fine. But the Grail Knights are here. We have some spearmen at arms, so Lewin has some peasants to try and keep him in this. He is not fighting right now. He's trying to run away, which isn't going to work. The pestigors and the centaurs aren't going to let that happen, so he does have to just turn and fight as much as he doesn't want to do that. So we have some Grail Knights. Only 4 of them. But 4 can still have some nasty impact damage, while the Sons of Goros have to deal with spearmen at arms, which they don't really want to do. They don't want to take that extra attrition damage. In comes the Grail Knights, the final charge for them. They're going to run through, well, okay, it won't be the final charge if they just shatter off some Ogre Spearmen, so yeah, that's fine. Centaur's terror routing away. Lewin still has about the health we left him with, and Berserk is really coveting that final healthy Centaur. He is keeping that thing safe and sound, because Lewin is a Grail Knight, but he is not a Grail Knight with perfect vigor, so he is exhausted now. Grail Knight's final charge comes in. They're going to get whittled down by the Centaurs, but they get the damage out they can, and Lewin joins them in their glorious last battle. Sons of Goros and the other Centaurs also jumping in onto Lewin, who is exhausted, bringing his melee stats down a little bit. He wades through the tide of armor-piercing Centaurs. Can his leadership hold up? He throws out a Lion Shield just for the sake of it. The Gorbel charges in. Bounce power is crazy bad for Bretonnia. Lewin is 2 damage to kill all these things, and it does look like VM will be proceeding to the semifinals, but on a pretty shaky 3-2, where Guac had some teeth in that matchup. He definitely could have beaten Berserk. Like, I'm just not saying it's a foregone conclusion. There was a domination game that was super close to also going the Mushroom Picker's way, and Raced with his Tomb King's blob that I thought was suspect also actually brought it pretty close. So all 5 games were pretty close, you guys. Slavic Mushroom Pickers could have done this. Oof. That was an intense final game of the day. Knights of the Realm really struggled to get their value out. Grail Knights did fine. The Skirmish Cav did pretty good overall, considering how cheap they are, right? And then Lewin did great. For Berserk, Malagor did well. Gorbel did well. Infantry did pretty well. Centaur struggled a bit. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Centaur struggled a bit, but 2 of them got a ton of value, and the throwing axes also did really nice. All right, we did it, chat. We got another 3-2. It's been a while. It's been a while. But the final score here will be 3-2. VM clutching it out and moving forward. The only 3-2 of the quarterfinals. Everything else was 4-1 or 5-0. Your semifinals are set. Hauptschweiz, which means Go Switzerland, versus VM, which is a clan. On the top, we have Visegrad versus ODM France. One of the semifinals is done, I believe. Yes, it's Swiss versus VM is done. So I do know one of our two finalists. The other one has not been decided yet. I'm hoping to stream both of those this weekend, and then we'll stream finals maybe next Wednesday, whenever finals is done. We'll stream that one. But the World Cup is going strong. 17 teams means we had 16 series to cast. We have cast 13 of those series. 3 remain, and I'm hoping all of them are exciting and go to 3-2, but can't always get what we want. I just hope the finals isn't a stomp, right? You don't want the finals to be a stomp. It's crazy how many 3-2 series we had at the very start, and then the quarterfinals was less close. So I'm like, don't let that be a pattern. Don't let it be like the closest was back here, then less close, then fucking Stomp City, and then the finals is just a shit show. Like one team absolutely slams through. That doesn't seem possible with the 4 teams we have. I mean, all 4 of these teams are looking pretty strong. So I'm like, man, can you really just shit house one of the other ones? I don't know, but out of my predictions, I'm feeling pretty good. I predicted France, Swiss, and VM to be the best ones, and they all made it to the semifinals, so let's fucking go. Honestly, my predictions are going to be perfect if Visegrad loses to France, because then no matter what, I'll have 2 teams I predicted to be the best in the finals, and then no matter what, they'll win. So the bottom semifinal, I'm already automatically right, because one of the teams I thought was the best is going to win. But the top one, Visegrad, still has a chance to make me look like a chump-ass bitch. Because so far, we're perfect, right? The 3 teams we predicted have won every match they thought that they would. My voice hurts. It makes sense that the best country on Earth is a fictional one. Yeah. Well, also, still, Neil, with all that's going on in the world, and I won't get too political here, but with all that's going on in the world, there's a lot of people that don't really want to rep the flag of a country that they're from. Like, and I'm not saying that's what VM is doing, but I get it. You know, there's a lot of shit going on, and if you're from certain places in the world, and there's a lot of those places right now, I could see you not being like, woo! So, yeah, some people just default to the clans so they don't have to deal with bullshit, and that's fair. You know, that's fair. Politics ruins all things. We'll get through it. Oh, CA, release a patch, please. The state of the game isn't even that bad, but people are definitely just kind of burnt out on the same meta because it has been very similar for a while. Occasional DLCs come out and add some new units, but they haven't really changed things. Like, think about this. How long have Beastmen been strong because of Centaurs? How long has Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna been strong? How long have High Elves relied on the Fireborn and trying to regrowth them? Like, it's these things. So the DLC adds some new units and some new spice, but overall it's like, okay, the strong factions are strong because they're the same strong units. So I'm hoping for a patch someday, man. Yeah, I wouldn't show the American flag, Segos. Stealing Gulf of Mexico. I personally stole the Gulf of Mexico, Segos. You're right. You're right. It's my fault. All right. Later, Gators. Have a good Wednesday night.